The courtroom doors opened, and in one single moment, everything changed. Secrets long buried were dragged into the light, alliances shattered under oath, and a family empire built in front of millions began to crumble. This was not reality TV drama. This was real testimony, real documents, and a verdict that no one saw coming. And trust me, what happened inside that courtroom will leave you speechless. So stay with me until the very end, because every detail matters. And if you love deep dives into shocking true stories like this, hit that subscribe button right now and join the family. You do not want to miss what's coming next. The courtroom was so quiet that even the faint hum of the air system sounded dramatic, and for a brief moment it felt as if time itself had paused, waiting for something irreversible to happen. Then the heavy wooden doors opened, and every single head turned at once, because the person walking in was not just another attorney or court officer. It was someone from a chapter long buried, someone whose presence alone threatened to unravel years of carefully maintained public image. Cody sat upright, his jaw tightening as recognition flashed across his face, because the past he believed was sealed away had just stepped into the present under oath. There would be no editing, no dramatic background music, or confessional interviews to soften the blow. This was not reality television. This was reality itself. And outside the courthouse, reporters were already gathering, though no one yet understood how explosive the day would become. It had started innocently enough, with a filing tucked into the county docket under the plain title Brown versus Brown. At first, it attracted little attention, just another civil matter among hundreds. But within 48 hours, online forums lit up with speculation. Fans dissected every rumor, wondering whether it involved property, custody, contracts, or something deeper. Then came the alert that detonated across entertainment news platforms, alleging that Christine and Janelle had initiated a lawsuit claiming serious financial misconduct involving shared business entities, family trusts, and property investments. The headline alone sent shockwaves through a fan base that had watched years of emotional fractures unfold on screen. Yet, even the most devoted followers had not anticipated a legal confrontation of this magnitude. According to the complaint filed by their attorneys, the plaintiffs alleged that significant sums from collective ventures, including television revenue, book royalties, speaking engagements, and property holdings, had been redirected into a separate limited liability company managed primarily by Cody and Robin. Forensic accounting summaries were referenced outlining transfers that appeared inconsistent with prior verbal agreements about equal stewardship and shared benefit. The language of the filing was deliberate, focusing on fiduciary responsibility, transparency, and the expectation that communal funds remain communal. Christine and Janelle asserted that they had trusted assurances rooted in faith, unity, and long-term vision, but gradually felt excluded from key financial decisions, particularly when property deeds were altered and new corporate structures emerged without clear documentation of unanimous consent. Cody, through his legal team, denied any wrongdoing, arguing that restructuring was undertaken on professional advice during evolving production contracts and shifting tax obligations. He emphasized the pressure of supporting a large household under constant scrutiny, suggesting that misunderstandings about money were being reframed as misconduct in the heat of emotional separation. Yet, tension intensified when plaintiffs presented a timeline highlighting specific years when ownership of the Coyote Pass property changed, and when the entity known as RB Legacy Holdings was formally established. Documents displayed on the courtroom monitor revealed updated distributions that appeared to narrow control to fewer names. Questions followed regarding whether all parties had signed informed consent, or whether some relied solely on verbal assurances. The atmosphere thickened when an audio recording surfaced, capturing Cody in a moment of frustration, making remarks interpreted by opposing counsel as dismissive toward former partners. His defense insisted the clip lacked context, that private arguments during marital strain should not define business intent. But the jury listened carefully, weighing tone alongside spreadsheets and deeds. When Robin was called to testify, attention sharpened. She acknowledged serving as managing partner of the LLC, yet stated she relied heavily on guidance from Cody and outside advisors, explaining that administrative titles did not necessarily reflect unilateral control. She described feeling overwhelmed by financial complexity and public expectation, emphasizing that she believed actions taken were for organizational clarity, not exclusion. However, when confronted with text messages suggesting concern about keeping certain transfers undisclosed, she admitted fearing conflict and wanting to avoid escalating tensions within an already fragile family dynamic. Gasps rippled softly through the gallery as layers of trust and doubt intertwined in real time. Outside, supporters and critics gathered, holding signs expressing solidarity or disappointment. Social media platforms surged with commentary, some framing the trial as overdue accountability, others cautioning against rushing to judgment. Commentators debated broader themes, including the ethics of televised intimacy and the responsibilities that accompany shared revenue streams when personal relationships dissolve within a public brand. Inside the courtroom, the judge maintained steady control, reminding counsel and witnesses that fame neither shields nor condemns, and that civil proceedings hinge on evidence and duty, not popularity. Closing arguments underscored the divide. Christine and Janelle, through counsel, spoke of years believing in equal partnership, only to discover structural shifts that altered their financial security without transparent dialogue. They emphasized that fiduciary obligations require more than good intentions. They require clear consent. Cody's attorneys countered that business evolution during complex production cycles can create appearances of imbalance without malicious design, warning that emotional grievances should not be conflated with fraud. The verdict day arrived before sunrise, with crowds lining the steps, anticipation palpable as the judge entered and reviewed findings. She concluded that fiduciary duties had indeed been breached, citing documented transfers and insufficient evidence of informed consent. Compensatory damages were awarded, totaling $1.8 million, and the dissolution of the contested entity was ordered under court supervision, with assets to be redistributed equitably among legitimate beneficiaries. Referrals for review of tax compliance were announced, though no criminal determination was made in that instance. The narrative shifted from allegation to consequence. Headlines erupted nationwide. Networks issued measured statements promising internal evaluation. Sponsors reassessed affiliations, and cultural commentators framed the ruling as a moment of reckoning about transparency in modern family enterprises. Yet, amid the media storm, personal responses revealed quieter transformations. Christine later shared that while the process had reopened wounds, it ultimately clarified her path forward, emphasizing healing over resentment. Janelle focused on practical empowerment, hosting discussions about budgeting, autonomy, and boundary setting, choosing growth over grievance. Cody released a brief statement expressing disappointment while committing to comply with the court order, acknowledging that leadership demands accountability. Robin withdrew from public debate, concentrating on her children and fulfilling legal requirements. The broader conversation extended beyond individual reputations into reflections on how easily blurred lines between faith, family, and finance can complicate trust. Viewers who had followed the journey from its optimistic beginnings now reconsidered earlier seasons through a different lens, questioning whether subtle signs of imbalance had always been present, or whether hindsight magnified ordinary disagreements into symbols of systemic failure. The courthouse eventually emptied, but the echo of the gavel lingered in living rooms, classrooms, and boardrooms alike, as discussions unfolded about documentation, shared power, and the necessity of transparent agreements, especially when personal bonds intertwine with profit. The once polished image of unified plural harmony evolved into a more complex portrait, imperfect, human, and subject to the same legal standards as any partnership. And perhaps that was the most enduring revelation, that visibility does not replace responsibility, and that even the most carefully curated narrative can be reshaped when evidence meets scrutiny. leaving behind not merely a fractured storyline, but a sober reminder that trust, once strained, requires openness to rebuild, and that accountability, though uncomfortable, can lay the groundwork for renewal rather than ruin. When the verdict settled into the public consciousness, the silence that followed was almost as loud as the headlines, because for years the narrative had been carefully shaped around unity, shared faith, and resilience. Yet now, that narrative had been legally challenged and partially dismantled. The days after the ruling felt suspended, as if everyone involved was waiting to see what would collapse next. Outside the courthouse, microphones stretched forward, reporters calling out questions that hung unanswered in the air. Cody walked past without pausing, his expression tight, controlled, almost unreadable. Robin shielded her face from flashing cameras, choosing silence over statement, while across the steps, Christine and Janelle stood shoulder to shoulder, not triumphant, not gloating, but steady, their posture communicating something deeper than celebration. It was relief mixed with exhaustion, relief that their concerns had been heard, exhaustion from years of internal tension that had finally spilled into public record. The internet reacted instantly. Hashtags surged, opinion threads multiplied, and reaction channels dissected every line of the judge's ruling. Some framed it as overdue accountability. Others argued that family disputes should never have escalated this far. But regardless of perspective, the cultural impact was undeniable. Commentators began exploring themes far larger than one household, discussing fiduciary duty within unconventional family structures, the blurred line between entertainment and real life, contracts, and the psychological weight of financial opacity in relationships built on verbal promises. University law classes referenced the case in lectures about partnership law. Ethics professors highlighted it in conversations about power dynamics and transparency within shared ventures, while media critics questioned whether long-running reality programming can unintentionally normalize imbalance when audiences grow attached to personalities rather than scrutinizing structure. Inside network headquarters, executives reviewed agreements, reassessing risk exposure and audience trust. Statements were drafted carefully, acknowledging the court decision while emphasizing commitment to responsible storytelling. Sponsors weighed brand alignment in a climate increasingly attentive to accountability. And although no immediate cancellations were announced, insiders hinted at strategic recalibration of programming direction beyond corporate corridors. The story turned deeply personal. Christine returned to a quieter life, focusing on her children and everyday routines. She described in an online message how revisiting financial records and hearing testimony had been painful yet necessary, explaining that closure rarely arrives gently but can create space for clarity. She spoke about rediscovering independence, about learning that security is built on documentation and dialogue, not assumption. Janelle embraced a similar forward momentum, launching regular discussions centered on budgeting, literacy, and emotional boundaries. She avoided harsh language, choosing instead to frame her experience as a lesson in shared responsibility and the importance of asking detailed questions, even when trust feels absolute. Viewers resonated with her calm, direct tone. Messages poured in from individuals who saw their own struggles reflected in the narrative and found encouragement in her willingness to speak openly about rebuilding rather than retaliating. Mary, who had remained largely silent throughout the proceedings, posted, "And just like that, the gavel fell and an era ended. What once looked like unity was tested by truth, and what once felt permanent was reshaped by accountability." This story was never just about fame or headlines. It was about trust, power, and the consequences of hidden decisions. If this breakdown shocked you as much as it did the nation, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because we bring you the full story every time, and you will not want to miss what we uncover next.